Okay, so I'll bring the meeting to order at 6:04. Moore isn't here, so.
Okay, maybe you can help with.
So consent on the agenda on June 10th, 2025. Anybody have any questions on the agenda, last month's agenda? Or minutes, meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Take a motion to approve the minutes. And do we have anybody online?
Devin.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so by roll, Devin. Josh.
Aye.
All right, Lou. Aye.
Aye. I'm here.
And I'm an aye. And then first read on the policies.
Can I say something about this part?
Yes.
So these are policies that we had kind of a policy meeting that was not planned last week because we realized these were policies that we wanted to push through before the start of the school year. These didn't get through in June, so I own you getting these late. Our policy committee did take a look at them last week, and so if you have any questions, let us know.
Do we have any questions? So we'll have a motion. Do we have a motion on that? Okay. Approval of policies first reads. Devin?
Was a motion made? I can't hear.
Cool. I'll take the motion.
I'll make a motion. Okay.
Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm an aye. Visitors? I don't know, is there any preview prioritization? No?
No.
And any visitors? And there was no school spotlight, personally. And we're off to work.
Right, and I will also be relatively quick tonight. Everything on my agenda is informational. There's information on last year's budget, this year's budget, and the process for next year's budget. And for your FY27 budget, just want to point out one that even with all the changes under Act 73, we are still going through the regular budgeting process for this year and likely next year. The difference this year will really be around the uncertainty of federal funding. Those conversations will start at the SU board, anticipating Title II and Title IV money could potentially go away completely, and then Medicaid eligibility and changes to that are going to impact Title I, they'll impact the funding we get for the after-school program, likely impact food service, and likely impact E-rate, which is a smaller revenue stream. So just be ready for a lot of discussions around that and discussions around what staffing measures we might want to consider moving out of those grants into local budgets, similar to what we had started last year. The abatement project at Enosburg Elementary went well. We plan to go back and abate the rest of the asbestos next year. We'll start talking about that in terms of the budgeting process. The one thing that I would add to that is that we've also done a subsequent round of air testing in the one classroom that had higher PCB levels. It was one of the rooms that we abated the asbestos, and the unofficial results we got were very good. The PCBs seem to have been abated with the asbestos. So once we get an official report on that, we will reach out to the state and try to get out of the quarterly monitoring, which is pretty expensive to continue. So good news there. And other than that, I'll only answer your questions, but I can be done.
Girl to land.
All right, so Courtney's going to pull up my slideshow. So I'll start with a personnel update. So I would say we are in a very good position right now compared to where we have been in previous years for hiring overall. You have informational in here. These are new hires that we hired over the summer. Anything that is bolded is a professional position. So I will be looking for the board to make a motion to approve hiring Belisa Gonzalez, Tanya as high school math teacher at Enosburg High School, Tanya Jarvis for school nurse at Enosburg Middle High School, Malcolm Husman from Richford Elementary School counselor, Merle Devereaux, half-time librarian, half-time RHS, EFHS theater teacher, and Jackson Booten, industrial arts teacher. And I will next time have an update. I'm supposed to look at my text message. We'll have an update. We can't do that until we have contracts written, but we have an open position at Cold Hollow, and Nate is at the end of his hiring process, but we have to procedurally follow that, so we have contracts signed. So you'll get the update at your next meeting on that one. But he has a good candidate. He's moving forward to me. I'm excited to see the name. So I ask the board to make a motion on hiring these.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, by roll, Devin,
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
Kua,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
Okay. And then we have some resignations. Most of those resignations were support staff, so you don't need to make a motion on any of those. You would typically have to make a motion on professional staff resigning, but they were under contract, so we don't actually approve the resignations because it's a breach of contract. So we did lose Shelley Horgan, medical careers teacher at Cold Hollow, late in, I think maybe a week. Last week. And Lee Miller, industrial arts teacher at Richford Junior Senior High School. And you already approved that position has been filled very quickly. So no motion needed on those resignations, but I would ask the board to make a motion to approve one unpaid day for Luke Weber, an Enosburg Middle High School teacher for the end of last school year. He was out of leave time and had to take one unpaid day. So we're just kind of cleaning this up from the end of last school year.
I'll make the motion.
Devin,
Aye.
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
Kua. Yeah.
Okay. And then current open positions for another 12 hours, medical careers at Cold Hollow. Enosburg Elementary School has a paraeducator position. Enosburg Middle High School has an SU grant funded position. Did I miss something? Or can you go one?
Sorry.
That's okay. Enosburg Middle High School has a literacy intervention position. They have some athletic positions as well, middle school boys basketball, middle school baseball, JV boys basketball, and JV boys I don't know if that's, boys baseball. And then they have had a standing guidance director position open. I think this is the 3rd year. So we just kind of let that position sit out there. I'm not hopeful that we'll fill that at this point. Richford Elementary School, thankfully for the first time in 3 years, fully staffed.
Yep.
Richford Junior Senior High School is looking for an evening custodian. So although we're not fully staffed in the other buildings, we're really close, and that feels good for this time of the year. I do have something, I want to talk more about this piece. There is a grievance that's moving to arbitration, and I want to talk about that in detail with the board. If we could come back to that under executive, that would be great. So we can move on from that. We have just completed negotiations with the teachers teachers union. So the tentative agreement is a 3-year settlement between the board and the teachers union from July 1, 25 through June 30th, 2028. That settlement includes increases in the salary schedule along with some other benefits and some language changes in the CBA. You all received a copy of that in your board packet. At the end of the CBA, you also should have seen 2 side letters, just things that have been kind of running along in every CBA, where those were agreements that were made with previous boards and they're still active. They haven't come to their final conclusion. So what we'll be looking for is a motion from this board to approve the teachers' collective bargaining agreement, the 2025 to 2028 teachers' collective bargaining agreement. Just for your information, the teachers union ratified yesterday. They had several meetings throughout the day and they had enough to get a quorum, so it's been ratified by the teachers union. The NMV board ratified on August 6th and the FNESU board ratified about 30 minutes ago. So you are the last one, and once you approve the CBA, that'll be it. So any questions on the collective bargaining agreement? Do you have a language proposal that you want to give for?
Sure, would be to make a motion to approve the 2025-2028 collective bargaining agreement with the teachers union along with the first 2 side letters.
I'll make a motion. Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm aye.
It's fantastic news. That was a long process, and it was definitely something that in the end I think both sides felt pretty good about where we landed. So thank you all. We have a couple of grievances that have been going on for a while. These grievances included both people on the SU contract and people from both districts. So one was related to one employee, Karen Jacobs, the other was related to Handle with Care. Because we were able to settle a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with the support staff earlier in the year, there were some language changes throughout that work, mostly related to the micro-credential program that allowed us to come to an agreement about these outstanding grievances with the union. So we have reached the agreement. I linked in your board packet a copy of the letter, the grievance settlement letter. So if there are questions about the grievance settlement letter, I'm happy to answer those. Absent questions, if the board would make a motion to authorize the board chair, could it be Sarah, or do we need to get more to sign?
I think the board can authorize
Sarah. So the vice chair to sign the grievance settlement letter on behalf of the board.
I'll make a motion. I roll Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Aye. And aye.
Great. So earlier this summer, I gave the board as well as our community an update related to federal funding. So we found out right at the very beginning of our summer programming, I believe we learned about this on July 1st, which was the first day of this school year, that some of the funds that had already been allocated to us, some of the federal grant funding, had been withheld. So it was a pretty scary moment thinking about how we're going to fund our summer programs that our families were counting on. And we made some changes with what our budget plan was for those summer programs in anticipation of not getting those funds. Those funds have now been released, so we got the full amount of those funds. We're happy about that, and at the same time, we're still choosing to maintain a cautious approach about funding when it comes to LEAP's after school program. So we're continuing to do some work thinking about what does that look like as we move through this year, because the federal funding is one component of how we fund the federal grant side of it is one component of how we fund our after-school programs, and the other side of the funding, more than $500,000 of the funding that we rely on for leaves after school comes from Medicaid reimbursement. And Medicaid is one of those things that is being hit with some of the federal cuts. So we're still a little uneasy about whether or not we will see any impact of that this year. We feel pretty strongly at this point that we're likely to see that impacted next year. So being cautious this year and just creating a plan with contingencies in case we experience any sort of federal cuts to what our expected revenues will be for this year. But then as we're having those budget conversations that Norman talked about, we're going to have some hard conversations about if this money is not there for us, where are we going to go from here and how are we going to handle these programs. So you can expect that along with other discussions around other things that we fund with our federal grant programs to come up throughout that budget building process this next year. So just wanted to tip you all to that. I got to spend the day with these fantastic principals today. Our leadership team had our 4th meeting of the summer. We have a FNESU Leadership Institute that we do every summer. We spent 3 days together at the very beginning of the summer, and then we met again today. We'll finish up halfway through tomorrow, and that will conclude our Leadership Institute. We have worked on a lot of things together, really focused in on how do we do this collaborative learning and planning together to really move our system forward to support our teachers and to support our students. Some of the highlights of the work that we did had to do with the work we're required to do around Vermont's education quality standards, common expectations around our system. There's work that we have undertaken in FNESU around a common code of conduct for stakeholders at all levels. We are in our 3rd year of our FNESU growth-focused teacher evaluation system. So we've made it through our development year, our pilot year, and then we're going full force ahead this next year. So there are several other things in there, from personalization to school safety, professional learning, and so on. There were professional learning opportunities provided in FNESU. We had just over 80 teachers who participated in different professional learning opportunities and experiences over the summer, which is always great. All of those kind of contribute to getting us closer to the goals that we've set for what we're trying to improve upon in our system. Our facilities teams have been very busy at work. We have the benefit of having our LEAPS summer programs in all of our schools, most of our schools, not quite all this summer, which is wonderful for our students. And I just want to acknowledge that puts some added pressure on our facilities people who are trying really hard to put our buildings back together for the start of the year. So kind of a shout out to all of them that not only are they doing the typical summer work, we've had quite a number of summer facilities projects going on across the system, and they've been working on that along with maintenance upgrades and regular summer work. So they're working really hard in the buildings that we've been in. We get to be in Cold Hollow today for part of the day, and some of the work that they did in there just looks really fantastic. I think you'll notice it if we have a board meeting there in the future. You'll see some of those upgrades. I know Richford Junior Senior High School had quite a bit of work. Do you want to mention what that was?
Well, the building has been in need of the eaves painted in the old building for a number of years now, and it makes a huge difference. We had half of it, 3/4, and then the rest will be done next year. The lower lobby floor, the office floor was replaced, so we had the concrete in front of the building, which was, I feel, a hazard because when they added onto the building, they had light posts in the middle of the concrete, and they removed those light posts, so there was and then they patched them, and so we would put flowers over them at graduation so nobody would trip over them, but they replaced that. It looks great. They did all of the custodians, Vern, they all did a great job, and our contractors.
Every year, it feels like there are some schools that get a little more than others in some years, and we kind of shift that around. I know there was some work that was done at Enosburg High School. Do you have a couple of highlights that you could share as an example?
A lot of lighting replacement, like the whole auditorium. And then we moved, one of the bigger ones was we moved the makerspace classroom. And so relocating that and putting the new like blowers and HVAC, like the system in there to dust collectors and stuff like that for that makerspace was a big project, and running all the new electrical through there. So that took up a lot of time, and moving some of those classrooms around more strategically, you know, putting science teachers all in a science wing and so forth like that. So a lot of work like that.
Kelly, I know you've had a lot of work in years past. Do you have anything you want to highlight from this year?
Well, not in terms of maintenance, but we have moved almost every teacher's classroom around in building this spring, this summer. So I did some reorganizing, moved teachers from one grade level to another, and so we used it as an opportunity to put like classrooms near like classrooms, so they actually kind of go in order now. So that did require a lot of moving by teachers and by the custodians. But the vast majority of the maintenance kind of work and upgrades have been done in the last couple of years. So it's really happening.
You had a lot of work this summer. Do you want to talk about yours?
A lot of work, and we had to abate asbestos, so we took this opportunity to put new floors in, even down the hall. We did half the long hall, and I encourage anybody to please stop by. I'm anxious to show it off. But the second, next year we'll do the second half of the hall, but those classrooms got fixed, new bathroom, toilets in there in each classroom, our RISE room. We now have 2 rooms for our RISE students, and we made a door opening so the 2 rooms can be really fluid. It looks amazing. And then we did our soffit around the school that just perked it up. So I just have a great thank you to Buck McAllister, who has worked so hard, and Vern and Beth Mayo. They have just worked so hard all summer. Even Buck's coming in on weekends to, you know, get things moved back in, because everything was moved into the gym, and now everything's moved back into the classroom. So
It's great.
yeah, it's wonderful. Painting.
Nate, do you want to name some of the things that haven't
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing in the conference room, you know, it was that thing has been, I'm pretty sure it started as the forestry room in the 80s, and now it's been a digital media room and everything, so we're using it as a conference room, which will also be an overflow classroom, because we have a lot of full classes and not enough space. So I know our construction kids, teacher plans on using that space for the classroom portion. I'm sure Josh will use it sometimes doing forestry, so it's a much sharper look than what we've tried to make it. So, and the mobile home is gone, so that's also really nice. So
That's great. The last thing I will say is that Bakersfield and Enosburg Elementary merged for their LEAP summer program because there was so much work happening at Enosburg Elementary with the asbestos abatement. We chose not to have students present. So they pretty successful summer program with Bakersfield, and we had fair turnout in terms of
Considering we had to travel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are all really amping up for the start of the school year. There's a lot packed in this week and next. We welcome all of our new to FNESU teachers to orientation tomorrow and Wednesday. So we're excited to welcome them. We have a convocation that will be held next Tuesday on the 19th. We have a keynote this year. His name is Mark Natangara. And he will be focused on the importance of digital literacy, understanding AI and its impacts on teaching and learning, and helping students to become future ready. Our principals will start with teachers on August 18th, so next week will be really full with in-service, and the first day of school will be August 27th. And that is it for my board report, except the executive session at the end.
Okay. So principal reports, and Kelly?
It's all informational except that I have my family handbook in there that just needs to be approved.
Okay.
It's attached at the bottom.
That is with the motion, yes? Yes.
I'll make a motion.
And go by roll, Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Cool. Aye. And I'm an aye. Okay. And Beth?
Mine is all informational except for the approval of the staff and student handbook. And I just wanted to add that we were approached by Friends of Bernie Sanders to do a shoot-around for kids on August 23rd, or maybe it's a competition. All kids that come will get a free basketball. And so that is happening at 11 a.m. on August 23rd. And we're welcoming all area students to come, or children to come, and we'll be advertising that as soon as we get the certificate of liability of insurance. It's not a political event, it's something for students.
It's a free throw competition.
It's a free throw competition, or shoot around, or both, I think, yeah. Yeah. So the only action items were approval of my staff and student handbooks.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And go by roll, Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Cool.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Jennifer?
All informational except I have approval from my student handbook.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. And Anthony?
Mine is also all informational besides the action item of the caregiver handbook.
I'll make a motion.
And for the motion, so Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Same thing, all information, let's do the handbook.
And I'll make that
Oh,
motion.
good. And by roll, Devin?
Aye.
Josh? Brooke?
Aye.
And myself, aye.
So if we could, I think the last thing would be that we move into executive session to talk about personnel.
Uh-huh. Okay. So we have to do,
Actually, that's
Wait.
not true.
that's not,
There's a snapshot.
snack shacks.
Oh, what is that under? Or is that under
For
board?
business.
Okay. We can do that now or after, it's up to you.
Okay, so we're gonna go to executive and these principles or?
If we could, why don't we talk about snack shack first
Yeah,
then?
that'd be good.
So we can, I think it would be important, if we're gonna release principals, let's not make Anthony, have to hang out, so let's do snack shack first.
Okay.
So, I asked for an update regarding the snack shack. And what I was told from Vern is he had reached back out to the boosters and let them know, you know, we've got the pad there. He talked to them about getting maybe a food truck or getting a shed down there. I reached out to Amy Lovelett Jarvis last week. Have you heard anything back? My hope is that I would have an update by this meeting, and I don't believe I have anything beyond that to report. We were hoping that we could get something in place for the fall, but felt like we don't really have a clear direction of where to go until we hear back from the boosters, because they've done a fair bit of communication. I know that they had a meeting last night, but I don't have anything back from Edie. about the outcome of that meeting.
Okay. So it looks like our next scheduled meeting is September 9th at Richford Junior Senior High School. And we said, any future agenda items? Does anybody have any, are we setting any items for the future agenda or?
I don't have anything. I mean, it would be if you want us to bring anything back in the board business. So, So if there's nothing else, I would ask the board to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss arbitration.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Good. And I'm an aye.
She can expect it will be. Do you want to make a motion to exit?
Oh, hold on, I can turn that recording.
I'm sorry.
Make a motion to exit.
I'll make that motion.
With no motions pending?
With no motions pending. Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Good. And I'm an aye.
And nothing else for you?
Okay. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
And I will make that motion.
And Devin?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Good. And I'm an aye. And adjourn 6:51.